Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, the Sanhedrin daf Nun Vav Nu. We are going to begin on the bottom of Nun Hamid Beis by the Masnis. Says the Mishnah: Hamagadef, someone who's engaged in blaspheming, cursing Hashem, Eno Chayiv Ad Sheyafarish Hashem. You're only chayiv when you actually say Hashem's name. And this Rashi says, Im lo haitzi shem apiv. If you didn't actually say Hashem's name, Shama Shem Yoitzim Mipiacher Uvarchu Pativ. If someone else said the name and then you cursed Hashem, but not using the name, then you're going to be Pater. You have to be the one that says. Ben Karcham, as we continue to Nun Bava Mad Aleph, B'chayil Yoim, every day, Danin es ha'edim b'kinui. We say that witnesses are judged with a nickname, says Rashi. Koloimer hayu danin imahen, we judge with them, ubaykinoi some bikinoi, and we examine them with the name, one of Hashem's name. So hey chaimer, how would you say it? Kach aimer yaka yoisi es yoisi. Hai kinoi lav kini Hashem kaimer el beis the mechanin b'divarehem kal klol klapi acherim. V'toila ba'acher karile kinoi lashon chachamim. So they use the slang lashon in order to not say Hashem's name. Yaki yoisi es yoisi. Continuing the Rashi, lachinachet yoisi. Why that name? The dalad oisiois ika kashem ben arba oisiois. Just like you have the name of Hashem, which is the four-letter name. Deinu chayiv el al shem hamayuchad. It has to be Hashem's name, Hashem, which is Hamiyuchad, Hainu Shem ben Arba Oisiois, which we say the word right after Baruch Atah. So that next word, Hashem, is four letters. Umishum dechashvuhu shel Yoisi kecheshboinu shel Elokim. So it's a similar cheshbon. So we'll see that you have to be, it has to be shame b'shame, that you curse using Hashem's name to curse Hashem. Nigmar hadin, once there's been a verdict regarding this, loy hargin b'kinoi, we don't kill with a nickname. El moitzin kol adam l'chutz, everyone goes outside. Shalonas hagadol shebineihen. V'oimer lo emer ma sheshamas beferish. Tell us exactly what you heard. V'hu oimer, and he actually says it. V'hadayanim oimdin al raglayim. The dayanim stand up. V'kairin, and they rend their garments. V'lom achen, and they don't sew it up. V'sheni oimer afani kamohu. V'shlishi oimer afani kamohu. They'll say that that in fact is correct. So says Rashi, Moitzin es kol adam chutz the ganaihu hashmiya berachas Hashem rabim. So it's kind of done more privately, but we actually require the person to actually say what he heard. Okay, and it's obviously so devastating to hear someone blaspheme HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we have to rend our garments. Says the Gemara, Tana ad sheyivarach shem b'shem, as we mentioned. As Rashi says, "Kagain yaka ploini as ploini, or yikalo shem ploini as shem ploini." So minahanimus. The Shmuel the called the pasuk of a naikiv shame. This is referring to the person who is the blasphemer in the Torah, the gomer. Benak v'shem yumos. So mamai dahai nukov. How do we know this word is lishna debruchi, who is going to cursing? They said ma'akav kavakel, because when it came to Bilam wanting to curse the Klal Yisrael, he was unsuccessful. He said, what can I do? I can't curse Hashem. So we see the word naikev is a lashon of cursing. Because harte mehacha, and the warning is from here, as the pasuk says, al kimo sakala, not to curse. The aim, maybe it's referring to mirvasu, maybe it has to do with stabbing. Says Rashi, sholei latchoich sakin lachor nekeb b'shem hakosab klaf, that you can't take a knife and stab Hashem's name, which is on a parchment. They made a hole in the lid. You can't destroy Hashem's anything which has Hashem's name on it. So maybe that's what it's referring to. It's not a statement, but maybe it's an action. So be'ina shem b'shem v'leika. It has to be shem b'shem. And the only way shem b'shem can take place is if you say it. Okay. I've ema demanach shnei shemas adadi. Maybe it's on. You write on a piece of paper these two names, uvazlahu, and basically you put Hashem's name 2 times on the paper. On the other end, they make a hole into it. That's a like naikev, and then you do it again. It has to be at the same time. Maybe you engrave Hashem's name on the knife and you poke a hole that way, so it's shem b'shem that way. It's actually the blade that makes the hole. So Ema Perushi Shmehu, maybe it's just saying Hashem's name in general. Just saying Hashem's name is what it's telling us, not that it's a person who blasphemes Hashem. Maybe the punishment is for just saying Hashem's name for no reason. He took these people, that they specified with names as Harti Mahacha as Hashem Kachatira. So first of all, there's no way we can understand Shem Hashem if you're just saying Hashem's name. But this azhara that says you should fear, that's not considered azhara, because it's not a negative, it's a positive. So we see that the V'yikav clearly is cursing. So we see again the language of Naikev is a curse. Maybe you're only going to be chayev when you do both. In other words, says Rashi, Parushe uvruche uvachad. Maybe you have to say Hashem's name and you also have to blaspheme, but not one by itself. It says they took out the Makalil, so to a person who was the Megadif, the one who gave a curse, which means all he did, not that it's all, but it's not two things. He only did this one thing. So we see that it's just the one thing of being Makal. Ish. Now the pasuk says that a person is not to curse. So Matam Ish, Isha Rabbi says she was hard birchas Hashem. Even in Avi Kachavim, who doesn't obviously have the Targum mitzvos, they're still mechuyev that they're not allowed to curse Hashem. Ki Yisrael. They have the same din as Israel when it comes to that. Now, even though the truth is, the misa for Megadef is skila, very chomer, but when it comes to Avi Kachavim, their punishment is always saif. Says Rashi, Dechsibahu ba'adam damu yishafech, umisa acheres lulhu sarbehem. It doesn't mention any other azhara regarding someone who is not Jewish, which is found in by Bnei Noach, who are not Jewish, and it says their blood was spilled, which sounds like it was spilled with a knife, with a sword. From there, Mahasam Nafka, Hashem Zuberchas Hashem. We're gonna see later on that we learn out all Shevims Bnei Noach from a particular pasuk. And that pasuk includes as Hashem, and that's how you know Berachas Hashem by the Akum. So Rabbi Yitzchak Nafka L'Nisrocha El Ravusa HaKinuyim. It's coming to tell you that not only is it usher for them to curse with Hashem's name, Shem HaMiyuchid of Dal Daisiyais, but even a kinui of Hashem, one of Hashem's other names as well would be Chayiv. Okay, so that's what it's coming to tell us. And that's a believe it or a mayor. According to the sheet of a mayor, who says that a yid is going to be chayiv even on kinuyim. The sign ish ki kal kavana so chatoi. So matam the Lord. What does that mean? What do we learn from the Holy Command? Now already says Hashem yumos yumos. So why do you need this extra pasuk? You think you're only chayiv if you curse with Hashem's special 4-letter name. So our mayor holds the fact that there's a second pasuk is coming to include even one who's megadav with kinuyim. If you use Hashem's name, it's misa. Kinuyim ba'azhara. So it's only a prohibition. You're not chai misa by using one of the kinuyim of Hashem. Now again, according to Shita Rameir, you would be chai misa, and therefore so to an akum would be chai misa even by kinuyim. Pliga the Rabbi Miyashid, Yam Rabbi Miyasha ben Noach Shibirachas Hashem b'kinuyim at l'Rabbanan chayev. Actually, he holds even according to the Shita Rabbanan, if an akum is cursing Hashem, even with kinuyim, you're still chayev. My time in Demakra, keger ke'ezrach, ger ve'ezrach hu deb'in menakvu shem. Abu chachavim gafil b'kinui. So maybe when it comes to a yid, according to the Rabbanan Shita, he makes a distinction between being megadef with the kinui or being megadef with the dalad oisiyos. However, when it comes to an akum, it makes no difference. You're going to be chayiv either way, even according to Shita Rabbanan. Rameir, what does he do? Because he already learns out the fact there's two psukim that an akum is chayiv by kinuyim and a yid is chayiv by kinuyim. So then why do you need this extra pasuk of ger ke'ezrach? So ger ve'ezrach b'skil of el chacham b'sayif. It's coming to tell you that even though it's true that they're going to be chayiv misa, but their punishment will be sayif, as we said. Because talking that, I mean, a hoyel israbu kamashmon. You think that once we're already connecting and comparing megadef of a yid to a megadef of an akum, so therefore maybe the misas are the same. Kamashmon that no, an akum only gets sayif. Rabbi Yitzchak nafka libed rabbanan ha'kiger ke'ezrach mayavli. What does he do with that? So ger be'ezrach hu de'in and shem b'shem. Avav chachavim will be in shem b'shem. The only time that a yid is chayiv is only if it's shem b'shem, but an akum not. He'll be chayiv even if it's just cursing Hashem stam, even not shem b'shem. Ish lamali. Sometimes the Torah uses this language, which is just the way that people conventionally speak. Okay, let's look at first of all question 1. Heichen b'Torah his haranu shel limchik shem Hashem. Where do we find anywhere in the Torah you're not supposed to erase Hashem's name? So this is based on the pasuk. I don't know why I didn't write this down. In my Gemara, let's see, because the pasuk says, "V'vadatem es shemam lo'isusasun ken Hashem lokechem." So you can, let's say, destroy an Asherah tree or all these different things, but not when it comes to not regarding Hashem's name. So that's an azhara of not destroying Hashem's name. Fine. Lo'sasun ken. Ve'echen kosav ha'isl farish Hashem b'oisi yosef perushaha. So. Pirush Shemoi es Hashem Elokecha Tira, because it says Hashem Elokecha Tira, so that's how we learn that out. Okay. Fine. Okay. Weiter. Question 2. Siv kiger ke'ezrach b'nek v'shem mumas l'inin ma'ata also haikro l'chalik being akum Yisrael. How do we make a difference between an akum and Yisrael? So we said, first of all, an akum who is curses with kinuyim Yisrael. Yisrael, it's benakvu b'shem dafka, which is according to one mandir. The other mandir says a yid will get skila and akum will get the punishment of sayif. Okay. Good. Let's look at question TB5. Habagadif b'kinuyim ma'onshay. So an akum is chayv misa b'sayif. I feel b'kinui. Avol hayisrael enu chayv misa rak b'shem avol oiver v'asei. So it's actually a machlokus. This is not 100%, but according to the shita of Rameir, let's get this down. Aliba to Rameir. So what does Rameir say? He says, so Yochel lo yechayiv ela al shem hamiyuchid bovad menayin l'rabos kol hakinuyim. So we see that one is megadif with kinuyim that you're going to be also chayiv. It's according to Shita Rameir. However, the Chachamim say no. When it comes to al kinuyim, it's only baz hara. So it's actually a machlokas whether you're going to get misa or ashara. So, and I also mentioned by an akum. In Yisrael, eno chayv misa Rak b'shem of oiver b'aseh. It's actually a machlokus. Because lefi Rameir, you're chai misa. Okay. All right. And again, I'm not sure if I needed to mention anything about the akum, but that's what I wrote. Okay, let's keep going. All right. Tanabam. Sheva mitzvahs nesav b'nei noyach. So this talks about the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei noyach, which is pretty close to daf nun ches. Okay. So there's 7 mitzvahs b'nei noyach. And here they are. Dinim, Berchas Hashem, which is what we're talking about here. Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arayos, Shvichas Damim, murder. V'gezel v'Eber Menachai. So these are the traditional 7 that most of us are familiar with as we continue to do Vavu Beis. V'Chananya ben Gamlo Yimer Af al Dam Menachai. You're not allowed to eat blood from a living animal. There's not an issue of them eating blood after the animal's dead, but while it's alive. Chidka Omer Af al Hasirus, also regarding castration. You have Shimon Omer Af al Hakishuf, also on witchcraft. Rabbi Yosef Omer Kol Omer Beparshas Kishuf, anything which is mentioned by witchcraft, Ben Noach Musar Olav, so to an akum. Lo Yimutz B'chal Mavir B'no Avito B'Eish Kaisik Samim Ma'oinim Menachesh V'Chashiv V'Chayver Chaver V'Shol V'Yadaini V'Darash El Amesim V'Goymer. So this pasuk talks about all different types of avodah zara, or like for example, V'Yadaini, where you take a bone and either put in your mouth or under your armpit in order to be able to speak to the mason, witchcraft and sorcery and the like. Someone who's involved in these forms of abomination, Hashem will remove them from before you. Of course, they're connected to punishment unless you all were also warned. They're actually chayim on kilayim, which sounds like a mixture of a garment of wool and linen. But we'll see, perhaps this is only referring to mixed breedings of sorts. So when we mention kilayim, they could wear kilayim, they could wear wool and linen together. Lizroi kilayim, they could also plant like wheat and barley and grape seeds together. Grafting trees and having different species of animals breeding. So the pasuk says, from the tree, you could eat from everything. So this is referring to the laws. As bon of a goymer, Hashem, Zuberchas Hashem, which we called before, that's cursing Hashem. V'cheinu oimer, v'nokiv Shem Hashem, mos yumos. Elokim, in the pasuk Elokim, Zuavadas Kachavim, this is idol worship. V'cheinu oimer, lo yelocha Elohim acherim al Adam, Elohim acherim, al Adam on a person, Zushvechas dam is murder. V'cheinu oimer, Shevech dam ba'adam, v'goymer. Lamor, interesting, the word lamor is Zu Gilui Arayos. V'cheinu oimer, Lamor hein yishlach ishas ishtoi, that he sent his wife. The halcha mi'itai, and she went from him. The haisli shachar went to someone else. So it's interesting language of lamor. So perhaps the element, the start of Gilui Arayos is through even suggestive conversation. L'ishachar mikol eitz hagan, from all of the trees you can eat. Loy gezel means it has to be something which you're allowed to eat, otherwise it's stealing. Eichel teichel, you could eat it. V'loy ever menachai. So Kias Rabbi Yitzchak Tani Ivcha, he actually learned it the other way around. Yisav zu avodas kachavim. Yisav is referring to idol worship. Elokim zu dinim. So Bishlam Elokim said dinim, that Elokim is referring to a judge. Except the nikra bal bais Elokim. The person goes to the Elokim, which is the court system. El Yitzav zu avodas zara, my mashma. How does the word Yitzav have anything to do with idol worship? So Rav Chisda, you have Yitzchak bar Abdimi Chadaimer Sur Maher Menaderech Asher Sivisim. So the pasuk says, like the language of Sav, that you should distance yourself from the way which I commanded you. Also lehem begomer, and you made. This is referring to the golden calf. The Chad Omer Ashuk Ephraim, that he was oppressed. Ratzoitz Mishmat, and he crushed justice. Ki hoyel halach acharei tzav, because he went after tzav, which is referring to avodah zarah. So, my benayu, what's the practical difference of how we learn it out? There's still the same prohibitions. So, benayu akam shas avodah zarah. Maybe an akam who worships an idol will hishtachvel, it doesn't bow. Asu, when it says they made it, it's mishas asiyam chayiv. Even just making it, you're chayiv. Ki hoyel holach adi ozul basra upolachla. You have to go after and bow to it. Understand, if you just are a craftsman and you make an avodah zarah, we don't actually worship it, why would anyone say you're chayiv? After all, the hasanya, I think that's what the word is, ba'akum divarim shebeis din shel Yisrael mamisin alehen ben noach musar alehen. When it comes to matters in which the Beis Din of Israel will kill, Beis Din will the main noach have warning on them. Ein Beis Din shel Yisrael mamisin alehen. If the Beis Din would not kill for a particular crime, ein ben noach musar alehen. Lamuti mai lamuti yakum shos avodah zarah v'lo yishtachav. So someone who apparently only makes a avodah zarah doesn't bow to it, well, you should be chayiv. So Marapaba, lo hamuti gifuf v'nishuk. It's when a person hugs and kisses the avodah zarah. That's what it's coming to exclude, but maybe not someone who makes it. 1 second. Gifuf v'nishuk demai. What is that referring to? Ilema kedarka. If that's the normal way of worshiping this idol, so barkatalahu. So you're chaymisa, because you're worshiping it. It doesn't matter if you're bowing down, right? For example, Baal Peor, a person defecates on it. So the markali is you throw something at it. Elam yute shloi kadarka. This is not the normal way of worshiping it. So in that situation, you would not be chayiv for gifuf and nishuk. However, if you would make it, but maybe not even worship it, maybe you're still chayiv. That would be the nafkamina. Dinin b'nei noach ifkud. Is it true that akum is mitzvah to have a court system? Vosanya eser mitzvahs in Sav Yisrael b'mara. There's 10 mitzvahs in which the Yidden were commanded in Mara. Sheva shekibul lehem b'nei noach. There was 7 b'nei noach. V'sivul lehem, and there was 3 others, which were dinin, Shabbos, and kibbud av aim. Now the question is, if we added dinin, obviously, then dinim is not part of the 7. So dinin diksiv shem shamsoy loy chakum ishvat. Shabbos to give it aim diksiv kasher simcha shem el kecha. Yom Rabbi Yehuda kasher simcha b'mara, as you were commanded by Mara. So again, the kash is, how could it be that the bnei noach were chayiv in dinim? That was given to Yidden at Mara. So obviously, it was not given as part of the 7 mitzvos. Rav Nachman or Rabbi Baravua, l'nitzucha el eda the edim v'hasra. So says Rashi, v'chein nitzvi Yisrael b'mara. Not that there wasn't already the requirement among the Shemesus b'nei noach of dinim, but there was extra dinim that were given to the Yidden at Mara, including having witnesses, testifying, giving proper hasra, giving proper warning, etc. That's what it's referring to. It says Rashi, v'chein nitztavi Yisrael b'mara liyois danim Sanhedrin shel chav gimel. You have to have 23 members of the court. Ve'edem atzalos ta'akum or ifkud. The ben nerag be'ed echad v'dayin echad. When it comes to an akum, you only need is 1 witness, 1 judge. You don't need the 23. Yahachi my v'hoisif alehen. Didn't be added to it. It was already there. There was still dinim. We just have maybe more laws. El imarava l'nitzucha el ladini kanasais. So we were actually commanded now additional punishments, which are kanas, penalties. Says Rashi, hoisifa b'mara b'nei noach lo husar alein. They're not mechuyev, as the pasuk says, sadaku mishpat. The hainu dinu pshara of a kanasais lo mishpat ninhu. Kanas is not considered to be mishpat. The kansin and late medine. A kanas, a penalty, is above and beyond that which should be fair, right? It's an additional penalty, which means it's not connected to justice. So they're not. So they weren't mechuyev in kanasais, and therefore we were given kanasais at Mara. What it should say they were moisav dinim, not that they were given an additional just dinim, which sounds like that they never had dinim at all. What we were commanded at Mara is it's not just enough to have, let's say, a Supreme Court, but you actually have to have court systems throughout all the provinces and all cities. So, is that true that Bnei Noach were not matzuva in this? Bosanya kashem shesav Yisrael hoishiv bati dinim b'chol pelach b'chol every year. Kach nesav Bnei Noach hoishiv bati din b'chol pelach b'chol every year. What do you mean? That law also applies to an akum. Elo imerava haitana debei haitana tana debei menashu. This tana must be tana debei menasha. The mafik dach va'ayel sach, that he removes dalid chaf and he puts in samich chaf. What does that mean? So obviously the Gemara is going to say this, but Rashi helps us out right off the bat. Dach is dinim in berachas Hashem. According to this opinion, among the 7 mitzvahs of Noach is not dinim, and therefore you're right. We were given dinim at Mar because Akum was not masubin dinim. Berachas Hashem also is not given to them. Instead, he puts in sach, which is sirus and kilayim. Okay. The Tana de Menashe, Shem Mrs. So those 5, no one argues, those are the same. But however, he says sirus, castration, ukilayim, which again is specifically grafting trees and as well as having different species of animals mixed breed. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Adam Arishon and Sabbath Ella al Avodah Zarah Bavad. Adam Arishon was only given the mitzvah of not worshiping an idol. Shenemar v'Sava Hashem Elokim al Adam. Rabbi Yehuda Mebeser Omer Afal Berachas Hashem. Adam also was told not to blaspheme Hashem. Yishamrim Afal Dinim, that there was actually dinim even in the times of Adam Arishon. Kamana Zahadi Yem Rabbi Yehuda Omer Rav Elokim Anilo Tiklonuni Elokim Anilo Timiruni. Elokim ani yehem mordai lechem, that my fear should be upon him. Come on, Keishayimrim. It's like these Eishayimrim that demonstrate that Adam Arishon was already given the dinim, the mitzvah of dinim. Says Rashi, al timirani kedamrin and lo yelochel himachirim apanai zulasi. There should be any other avodah zara. Then it says lo tikaleni, don't curse me. Kedamrin and elokim osekalel. So we see that actually Adam Harishon was according to, and then afterwards you have Yehi Mor Aleichem, there should be fear, Elokim Lashon Sharara Rabonus, so that there should be these laws, which apparently means that he includes all of these dinim, that who's given already, which is of course is Bnei Noach, or again even the time of Adam Harishon, also Afal Hadinim, but he was also given Berachas Hashem, and also, according to this, Berachas Hashem and Dinim. And therefore, Dinim were actually also did pre-exist. Question 3. Ma Pirish B'Divri Tanid Menashe Mapech Dach V'Ayel Sach. It's a good question, right? So you remove the among the Shevmas B'nei Noach, remove Dinim and Berachas Hashem, and instead you insert Sirus, castration, and Kelayim. Let's look at question 5. Al Eza Dover B'Avodah Zarah. I actually got this wrong. I can understand why. Al Eza Dover B'Avodah Zarah Ben Nach Mushar. Afal Pi Shein Based in Shal Yisrael Mamisin Olav. That there could be a warning on Bnei Noach, even though the based in Shal Yisrael would not kill for this. So it says, which is interesting. I probably, based on the way that I read this piece, it's not so clear, because it sounded like, let's find this piece. When it says, Ba'akum devarim shebeistin shel yisrael mamisin alehen ben noich muzalehen. Ein beistin shel yisrael mamisin alehen, ein ben noich muzalehen. So it says, Limuti mai. So, la limuti akum shasa v'dazar v'lo hishtachvala, which is for some reason, we're just assuming TA5 is saying that that's the answer, but then it says, Omar Papa, lo limuti gifa v'nishuk, right? If it was done shul kedarka. So I don't really understand how that's the answer. It doesn't sound like it says l'chad ma da'imer. I think you could have also have said gifo v'nishuk. So maybe it did write that, and maybe Taka got that question right. Who knows? Maybe I did this. Let's see. Kilai begadim, kilai zroyim, harvas behem of harkavas ilan, al elu mehem husru b'nei noich val elu lo husru. So, this is what I wrote. Yesh machlokas im moisev kilayim l'chlal zayin mitzvahs. So maybe kilayim is not included at all. Okay. The im kain, muchayiv al harvas behem of harkavas ilan, bilvad. Kilai begadim, kilai zroyim, lo husru. So I think that's actually a pretty solid answer, Adkan.